A very warm good morning to all the participants and welcome to the fourth day of the 5-day online faculty development program on sustainable design with pre-engineered techniques and approach towards eco-friendly buildings, which is organized by Department of Civil Engineering at DSATM. It gives me great honor to welcome today's honorable speaker, Dr. Lokesh sir. Of course, all of us have heard about him, have met him, I've listened to him. A great teacher, a great scholar, and a scientist, all in one. And it is an immense pleasure to host you, sir, and to listen to you on this occasion of the faculty development program. On behalf of our department at
It's my pleasure.
DSATM, I welcome you, sir. I welcome you to the event, and thank you, a big thank you for accepting our invitation and being here today with us. Now, before we start with this
Thank you.
session,
Thank you very much. So nice of
before we start the session, I request Professor Deepthi, ma'am, who also happens to be sir's student for PhD scholar, who was a PhD scholar under sir, to introduce Lokesh sir to all the participants today. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Girish sir. Good morning, everyone. Today, I am honored to have the privilege to introduce our guest speaker, a humbled person, a perfect role model for one, and a man of distinction who happens to be my guru and my godfather, Professor K.S. Lokesh. Myself, Deepthi, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, and I would like to thank Head of the Department, Dr. K.N. Vishwanath, and FTP coordinator Dr. Shibalakshmi ma'am for giving me an opportunity to introduce such a great personality. Professor Lokesh was born and brought up in Tumkuru district of Karnataka. He obtained his BE degree in civil engineering from Bengaluru University, MTech degree from IIT Kanpur, and PhD from IIT Roorkee in environmental engineering in 1996. He is the founder associate of Department of Environmental Engineering during 1987 and Department of Biotechnology during 1999 in the state of Karnataka. He worked as an assistant professor and head of the Department of Civil Environmental Engineering till May 2020. He has also rendered his service as the first registrar of JSS Science and University, Technological University, Mysuru from April 2016 to July 2020. Professor Lokesh was a British Council Fellow at University of Loughborough, UK, and Mellon Visiting Professor at Connecticut College, New London, USA. He had undergone special training in the area of environmental economics as a World Bank Fellow at IIT Bombay, Mumbai, and research methodology at ASCE Hyderabad. He has over 37 years of teaching experience and 30 years of research, 20 years of consultancy experience. He has guided nearly 15 PhDs, 142 MTechs, and 5 MScs with 54 undergraduate projects and has published over 147 research publications in national and international peer-reviewed journals and conferences. He has also visited 9 countries and presented research papers and chaired several technical sessions at international conferences. He is a trainer and involved in developing training modules for in-service engineers, training institutions, and NGOs. Sir has also delivered over 765 invited talks and guest lecturers across the country in various institutions, organizations, and industries as well. He has been awarded with many award affiliations, including Best Research Award, Best Engineer Teacher Award, and Best Engineer Award. With this brief introduction, I once again welcome you, sir, for this Atal AICT FTP program. It's our pleasure to have you, and we are absolutely excited to hear to your talk, sir. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Deepthi. Thank you very much. So nice of you.
Sir. Thank you, Deepthi ma'am.
Shall I get started?
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I'll just hand over the presenter rights to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have given you the presenter right, sir. You can start presenting, sir.
Fine, fine. Thank you very much. Secondary. Okay, is it okay? Good morning, friends.
Sir, the screen is not yet visible.
1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Consider now. This WebEx has come.
Yes, sir. Now we are able to see.
Is it
the
okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we are able to see the screen.
Yeah, fine. Okay, fine. Sorry for the
Not an
small
issue, sir.
hitch up
No,
there.
no problem. No problem. Yes, sir. Now we are able to
Okay.
see the screen, sir, and you are audible as well.
Okay, wonderful. Very good morning, everyone. At the outset, I must thank the organizers of this faculty development program through ATAL of AACTE New Delhi for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and exposure that I have over a period of almost 4 decades in my professional career. I must thank Ms. Deepthi, madam, for having introduced me. So it was so touching, Madam Deepthi. Thank you very much for giving me such a wonderful introduction. The Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering and its group of institutions, I know them very well, and I must thank the management of that particular institution for providing this opportunity to interact with the youngsters and young members of the faculty from across the state, if not the country. When the coordinator of this program contacted me through a reference of my own student, Mr. Shreyas, I should thank him also. I have readily agreed because I have a very small weakness of sharing my experience, exposure, and knowledge, whatever I have gained, to the youngsters and the young members of the faculty. That's my weakness. Whoever calls me, I never say no to them, not because I'm interested to talk, but because I wanted to share my knowledge to the younger minds and younger community of this country for the betterment of the environment that we and you live. The topic that has been suggested to me is this solid waste management in general, but specifically, I just wanted to get around an important aspect of solid waste management, which is called DSWAM. It's called Decentralized Solid Waste Management System. I always make a joke of this. Wherever I go, whenever I talk about solid waste management, I tell the people that whatever I talk or whatever you speak on solid waste management is solidly a waste. The reason being, even after 70 years of our independence, we are not in a position to manage our own household solid waste that's being generated because of our own activities, personal activities, our group activities. Kala, Kala, sorry, noise pollution from my TV. Okay, this This particular statement, why I made, because of our incapability. I don't agree that we are not capable. Incapability is not there, but we are not bothered so much to take care of this. That's the problem. Yesterday, I was watching a program on TV, why Japanese are different from others in the world. How the Japanese culture enters into the brain and veins and blood of very young mind when it is born. It was really a touching thing, which I have seen abroad. A Japanese student or a small kid crosses the road, it goes on to the other side and then bends in honor of that particular road user, a vehicle owner, for having stopped the vehicle and making the way for that kid to pass. Look at that culture. That culture was imbibed by from India, and today every Japanese is following it. Every person, whether it is a Japanese student or a Japanese engineer or a doctor or a minister, anybody, fantastic. Second point which I observed was the solid waste management. The schooling system of Japan is something different when compared to other countries, including India. Like what we used to have Gurukula system, that type of schooling system is still today there for Japanese students. Each student is allowed to do the course of the school. Cleaning, janitors are not there. Cleaning, washing, cooking, serving, everything is done by the small kids with lot of inputs from their teachers, guidance, and their volunteerism. That's the great part of it. Having said so, we were having that type of culture hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But today, we have become a modern society world and we are ignoring our own waste. That's the major problem. That is the cause for today's mounting up solid waste management problems in this part of the globe, including our own city, the second best city in the country or in Asia, Mysore city. So that's the reason why I am telling you that take it very seriously. It is your personal problem. This personal problem is supposed to be solved personally. If that is not done, it becomes impersonal and it becomes local, it becomes global, it becomes nationwide, and it is a problem for everybody. And government and the associations or organizations who are responsible for taking care of it will be in soup. That is the reason why it has got a sense of involvement, which I'm going to tell you in my lecture. So whatever I'm going to talk to you for next 1.5 hours or so, probably I may take about an hour or so time, because hammering is a very difficult situation. To get hammered is much more difficult situation. I don't want to be, I don't want you to be in that situation of getting hammered for a longer time. But in between, I'll be diverting your attention, and with good slides of information, probably you will not be boring. You will not be getting bored during my talk. This is the presentation schedule of my talk today. I'm going to talk to you and introduce briefly about the ecological footprint and environmental footprint, because today's youngsters do not have any idea of what an ecological footprint is and what an environmental footprint is. Because of that, they have their own freedom, because it's a democratic country. They have their own freedom of doing whatnot and spoiling whatnot, doing nothing and everything on the right side. Then we need to understand the concept of planning urban area or planning anything that is supposed to be ultimately leading to a developmental activity, the planning concept and waste management. Why do we manage waste? How do we manage waste? And in what sort of process the waste management is supposed to be very good. A couple of slides would introduce you to those things of waste management processes in India. And of course, I'm limiting to India, and wherever is possible, I bring in international exposure as well. Then urban development scenario by 2050. Where do we stand in India and where the global population stands as far as urban developmental activities are concerned and urban conglomerates are concerned. It's a very interesting slide from United Nations. You must appreciate, and then you should also understand the problems that are going to be faced, the problems that will be there on the working or the functioning infrastructural facilities. Then the solid waste management scenario itself, per se, you need to understand, though it is known to everybody because every now and then you are exposed to that and you are a part of it or it is a part of your life today. And what challenges are there in solid waste management today? I have posed certain challenges which I have raised through certain aspects of experience. And the pros and consequences of centralized solid waste system. Presently, most of the urban areas are planning and are introducing and are managing solid waste like this. What are the positive things and consequences of that? And what is this DSWAM? All about DSWAM and the advantages of that, pros and consequences of that, how best the DSWAM can be introduced into the system of solid waste management in an urban conglomerate. Benefits of DSWAM and a path to sustainable development. Ultimately, my talk will end up with path to sustainable development. What is sustainable development? In what way the role of an youngster is going to be there, or as an individual of this country, or as an individual of this planet Earth, what is your responsibility? What is your role? So ultimately, that gives you an idea of your responsibility of reducing, managing, and recycling or whatever it is, the solid waste that you and I generate. Lastly, I would like to share the research contributions during my stay at SJ College of Engineering and now JSS Science and Technology University as a part of our research contribution and summarize my talk. Fine. I love slides. Wherever I go, I take certain slides, though it is not, apt for this particular thing, but very apt is change. I want to drive you that change is an essential component of any developmental process or in your life. Changes are inevitable and changes are expected to take place in their own sweet time of way. It takes its own course of time. Change is not overnight. Change will have a periodical, segmentation. So regarding that, the change in the education system, now today we are into National New Education Policy 2020 by the government of India, which is a fantastic policy, which I wanted to have it when I came from US in 2009, where they have such a wonderful system, of flexible system of higher education system in the country for the people to pick and choose and do whatever they want. Now here, this particular slide is referred to a Gurukula system of education. Don't ask me, oh, computers were there in Gurukulas. Probably today's Gurukulas use computer systems to teach their youngsters. Okay, but please take it for granted. Around Bangalore, if you are interested, you can visit one of them, and then you can see how Gurukula systems are present, are going to teach various aspects of education. So this Gurukula system, a teacher, imagine he is Lokesh, this is Lokesh, this is Lokesh, and you are all these disciples of Lokesh or Shishyas of Lokesh. Lokesh tells, referring to the change in the syllabi of computer science and engineering. Once he said, so I'm revising the syllabus, students. From next week, I'll teach C, C++, Java, XML, blah, 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 blah. Now artificial intelligence and then maths, ML. What is that? Machine learning, what not, robotics, this thing, that thing, etc. And once I said this, look at the juttus of the students. They have gone up. What this bloody teacher is telling us this, blah, 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 blah. Because the change of introducing newer things into the system is essential. That's why when the change is inevitable, accepted, when Gurukula system is accepting that change, why don't you accept the change in the society that is happening now and then? And is a part of our life. So change is inevitable. Please open your mind for the change. Take life as it comes is the statement I give. So changes are expected to come. Look for that change, face that change, and accordingly you change yourself. You change your process, you change your system, you change your activity, you change your lifestyle. What are all the things that are expected to be changed is because of this. Having said so, change is inevitable. Now, how the changes are going to impact our living society? We will have to understand through this important slide called the ecological footprint slide. This is a fantastic slide. So, this is given by Tyler Miller in 2004. It's globally accepted. Most of the teachers and management experts using this slide. I am also using the same slide. So what is this footprint? Footprint is known to everybody. Your own footprint shown here. So this footprint is regular footprint of your feet. But ecological footprint means the area of the footprint that you have. In this particular area, you will get everything for your lifetime. For example, today's Indian lives for more than 65 to 70 years life expectancy. To live a good life, to lead a good life up to 60 to 75 years, you need good water, pristine air, fertile soil, good food, good environment, blah, 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 blah. From where do they come? They all come from one planet Earth. And if that footprint that you have at your disposal, if you get all of these in their pristine form, in their fantastic format, in their natural format, your life expectancy is very good and you will live happily up to 70 years. That is what is called as ecological footprint. If it provides, look at 3 countries I have given, he has suggested. US, that is around 10 hectares per person per capita, because it is 3.5 times bigger than India and 1/3 population of India. They have about 33 crores of population, where we have about almost 1.4 billion population. Netherlands, the country which I have seen twice, it is 15 to 18 meters below the sea level. Dikes are famous there. It has about 4 hectares per person per capita. The Netherlands people love environment. They love environment, simply awesome loving to environment. India, we have 0.8 today, it is I think 0.6 hectare per person. It is not the question of 0.6 hectare or 4 hectare or 10 hectare. Out of 10 hectare, what each American gets is important. And out of 0.4 hectare, what Indian gets is important. If Indian gets whatever that is now told about this life for leading his life fantastically, Indian is the very happiest man in the world. But it's not happening in India. Reasons are too many, which you all know. I don't want to dwell much on that. But what these 4 hectares and what 10 hectares, they are simply awesome. They get everything what they want. That's why their quality of life is good. Their life expectancy goes up to 80 years, 90 years, whatever that is expected to have. So this is called ecological footprint. This slide on to the right hand side, the square that the box, rectangular box. This is one planet Earth. The split line what you are seeing below this, it is one planet Earth. And this planet Earth is giving us everything to this footprint of ecology. From the planet Earth, everything comes to the human society. And this is the split, one Earth. And our demands of from the planet Earth, like water, natural resources, biotic minerals or abiotic sources, everything, energy, everything, they are exceeding. Today, it is about 33%. That means we are into the second planet Earth. Where is it? 1.33 Earth. Second planet Earth. Where is second planet Earth? It's only one planet Earth as of today. So our demands are rising and rising and rising only. There is no question of either getting stationary or coming down. This is the major problem that we are facing in 21st century. That is putting us into a lot of difficulties, my dear friends. Okay. If you understand, that is ecological footprint. Now, environmental footprints, there are 3 major environmental footprints. After them, the first one is water footprint. There is no surface water, there is no groundwater, but still you are expecting your tap to be full of water. How is it possible? How is it possible? But my dear friends, there is no dearth of water for India. To my knowledge, as my understanding, and with my experience, and with my reading and understanding of things and facts and figures, India is blessed with copious rainfall annually. Very copious rainfall. We get lot of water above our requirement. But unfortunately, the area called water resources area is highly mismanaged. I don't know. It's very unfortunate to say so. It's not being managed properly. by the experts or by anybody or by the users or the beneficiaries, anybody for that matter. So there is no doubt that we have enough of water. But if we introduce a fantastic planning concept along with a wonderful managerial strategy, I think Indians will never have the dearth of water. Take it from me. Second one is carbon footprint. Any developed country's measure is the energy they guzzle. How much of energy that country guzzles, and if energy guzzling is very high, then that country is expected to be a highly developed country. For example, Canada, 20,000, nearly 20,000 kilowatt hour. US, about 18,000 kilowatt hour consumption of energy. UK, about 6,000 kilowatt hour. Like Australia, about 8,000 kilowatt hour. So most of these developed countries are consuming thousands in thousands in thousands. Unfortunately, Indians, we have just crossed 1,000 kilowatt hour per capita per head. Look at where are they, where are we? Extreme weather conditions are different. That's a different issue. But here also we have in North India extreme weather conditions. But average, an Indian consumes 1,000 kilowatt hour of power, which we have recently crossed over 1,000 kilowatt hour. Whereas they are into thousands, multiple thousands. This consumption of energy comes from where? Fossil fuel, basically. Coal, major one. Then the fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, kerosene. So India is still using a lot of petrol and diesel and coal. And energy guzzling, now we are the fourth largest guzzlers in the world. Energy guzzlers. And we are slowly inching towards developed nation, probably by 2025. If not 2020. 2020 was the dream of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, but unfortunately we couldn't meet with. Today it is 2025 or 2030. India should be on the global developed nation. But still, China is the one which has taken over USA in guzzling of energy. Then United States of America. Then third, if you leave European Union, third is India. Then European Union, Japan, Germany, France, and all those countries come down. Having said so, our country's population is 1 point almost touching 4 billion, and consumption is very less. But today, I have not put that slide unfortunately because of lack of time. Today, Indian expected carbon dioxide emission is around 5 tons per capita per person, which is the global average. We have just touched 5 tons, whereas North Americans have crossed around 30 tons. Europe has crossed around 20 tons. Australia has crossed around 20 to 25 tons. All these people, Asia is just touching around 8 to 10. But India, it is 5. China, around 8 tons per. So people are looking at China and India because of the larger population. They are the ones who are responsible for climate change, global warming. Bullshit. I'm sorry. We are not the responsible people. It is the responsibility of the so-called developed countries which have consumed and guzzled billions and billions of barrels of fuel. That is the contribution from them, not either by China or by India. Please take it from me. So this is the status today. We are just crossing 1,000 kilowatt hour, and it is expected to go high because of the developmental activities supported by various private and governmental organizations. Probably it may touch around 2,000. Even then, we are not in the race for other countries who have already been developed in the consumption of energy. The last environmental footprint is footprint. Fertile soil or soil fertility is very, very important from the point of view of growing certain agricultural produce to live a happy life or a successful life or a healthy life. So in 2013, June 5th, World Environment Day, this was the theme: think, eat, and save. Reduce your footprint. It's very interesting. Youngsters can guzzle a lot of food, eat a lot of food. You require a lot of energy because your energy bubbling is going high and you need food, and accordingly you burn fat. But others, on an average, the reduction in the intake of food drastically reduces the stress on other things like fuel, like soil fertility or producing of agriculture produces, then consumption of energy, everything get reduced. See, they have the link. Environmental footprints will have interlinkages and they will have interlink with the ecological footprint. Once the ecological footprint is dwindled, it has come down, but with copious resources that are available for the man to live, that's good enough. That's the ultimate purpose of planning. The planning should be towards that. That's why they call it as environmentally sustainable planning. Now look at this. Why we, I think, yeah, this is the one. Why we manage waste or why we manage environment is the next question. Where solid waste is one of the important problems of managing environment today. We have shared environment. What are these shared environmental conditions? Why it is called shared environment in my perspective? Whatever I have said, air, water, soil, they are the component and compartments of the environment, planet Earth. And these three are being shared by these ecosystems, including our own human ecosystem. Today, we are not giving provision or priority to either animal ecosystem or plant ecosystem. We are making only our ecosystem important, prominent, and priority is given to human ecosystem. We have become highly selfish in that sense. That's why USEPA, United States Environmental Planning Agency, USEPA, Environmental Agency, they have changed the system of defining this thing, what is called sustainable economical system. They have included the animal and plant ecosystem today in their sustainable economic system. If you use them, if you see that air, water, and soil are also being shared with animals and plants properly, I think our shared environmental conditions are plannedly fulfilled with. And that's how they have a responsibility of sharing whatever the planet Earth gives to us. We are also a component of the planet Earth, like animal and plant ecosystems, and they also equal rights to share air, water, and solid waste or soil. Okay, why manage environment? Some of these thoughts. To sustain shared environmental compartments, obviously, ultimate goal, to preserve natural resources like water, air, soil, biotic and abiotic minerals, whatever it is. To lead a meaningful life, not very high, what do you call, luxurious life, comfortable life. No, meaningful life. If I have 2 idlis today, I'm very happy. Though I wanted 4 idlis or 5 idlis. But if I am given 2 idlis, I should be the happiest person. Don't aspire for 4 or 5 idlis. That is called meaningful life. If I get 4 or 5 idlis, that's my luxurious life. And in that, I may eat only 2 or 3. Another 3 or 2 will be a waste. That should not be the thing. It will not have any meaning at that time. That's why I put it as a leading meaningful life is very, very important. How do you do that? By judiciously using your resources at your disposal. What resources? Resources not earned by you, resources being given and being shared by planet Earth. That's very important. Then leave the environment in a good condition. That's what sustainable development shares. If not in a better condition for future generations, obviously. What do? We have become selfish, and probably our next generations are become too selfish, I believe. That should not happen. Leave it in good condition. If not in good condition, in the same condition where it is not going to be affecting the next generation. And for proper planning and development and sharing of the resources amongst the people, amongst the region, amongst the states, amongst the countries. That should happen. That's why we have to manage environment properly. Then after asking those questions, how to manage? Immediate question comes to your mind is how to manage. Through proper planning, obviously. If you have a very good tool of planning and its implementation properly, absolutely no problem. You will be in a Swarga. Like one of our own persons has started a Swarga country, like, I don't know, on the lighter side. Don't take it personally. So if you want to live in Swarga, one must think of a proper planning because you're all engineers. Anyway, heartiest congratulations and happy Engineers Day to you all. Of course, along with Teachers Day, September is a wonderful month. Both teachers and engineers are being, honored in this part of the globe in the month of September. September 5th, Teachers Day, Gurudevo Bhava, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And September 15th, day of Vishweshwaraya's remembrance, 161st birthday of him, wonderful Engineers Day. Engineers are the nation builders. You are not expected to be the nation bulldozers. Don't become bulldozers of nation. Build the nation. That's what is expected out of this engineering fraternity today. And your contribution in managing environment is very, very crucial, very, very key. That's why your role is becoming very, very important. It assumes a very key role in your activities, in your assessment, in your planning, in your implementation, in your asserting the things. Very important. Proper planning. Assessing properly the impacts of developmental activities. Environmental impact assessment, why the hell it has come to India? It started in 1970s in America. Why Indians have brought it? It's good that good things must be practiced everywhere. Even if it is from a friendly country like Pakistan or Sri Lanka. If they have a good practice, emulate it. Why don't you do that? That is the culture of that practicing good system to implement. Preventing or controlling pollution is another important thing to manage waste. Devising, designing, and applying. Understand these words, engineering words. Devising or conceptualizing, devising, designing accordingly, and applying, implementing economically feasible and technically viable waste management options. Instead of treatment, you can put waste management options. Then judicious use of resources at your disposal, including financial resources. Today, there is no dearth of finances available for you people to implement any project. But how best you can make use of the optimal use of that finances available for the best implementation of the project is your important thing. That is your innovative approach. That is your skill of showing or demonstrating thing. Now look at the planning concept, my dear friends. Everybody talks of planning. Plan Markondia, let's go to a movie today. Even to go to a movie, we used to plan for 2 to 3 days earlier when I was a student 40 years ago in Tumakuru. But today, movie na, Lokesh class, go. Within 5 minutes, you decide and go and sit in the theater. Not like theaters what we used to have. Now you have wonderful Inox, Parks, DRC. What else do you want? Comfortable life. But planning, one should have certain visualization. These are all innovative approaches that may have to be thought of. Creative approaches, creative thinking will have to be, kindred to plan for anything. Even to plan your reading and facing the examination, it requires a lot of planning, dears. Even for a class teacher to go and take a class for 1 hour, it requires a lot of planning background. He or she must have spent nearly 2 to 3 hours for you to teach about 45 minutes in a classroom. Teaching doesn't come so easily, so freely. It's very, very difficult. So that's why every stage planning is a must. Now look at the concepts that are now being adopted in the planning of our environmental system, our projects or developmental activities across the globe. Starting with short-term plan, which is now not required anyway. Wherever it is apt, then you can go for short-term planning, which will have a very small timeline or time lap. Comprehensive development plan called CDP, which is a major one for particularly urban areas development. CDP is a stronger word, which is being used for past 40 years or 30 years in the urban areas. Then the long-term plan, which I saw is a failure in India. We don't have long-term plan. What do you mean by long-term plan? Have plans for 30 years, next 50 years, next 70 years. When I first visited US for a conference in 2004 towards California, there, United States of America was planning for next 65 years of road, that is 2070 roads. Planning means not on paper. Everything, allocation of finances, which road should be upgraded to what level, which new road should come where, how long, how much, everything. What is its investment? What is its timeline? Wow, fantastic plan. It was awesome, my dear friend. I was taken aback. In 2007, second visit towards this, Florida time, they were planning for next 60 years of water supply and sanitation. I'm not joking. I was one of the participants. Next 60 years of water supply and what is called sanitation. Fantastic. Looking at the developmental progress or progressive development there, they started planning everything that is called long term or strategic planning, much more longer. For the next century, by 2100, what should be Indian fate of India? That is strategic plan. And apart from that, a new concept which has been started in 70s in US and now from past 10 years in India, almost 15 years in India, 1.5 decades ago, carrying capacity planning. I'll tell you what is a carrying capacity planning. Then the sustainability concept. Carrying capacity planning is a component of sustainable planning. That is what ultimately every nation is looking at, carrying capacity concept of planning, for which a sustainable planning has to be there for that region or a country or a state or a district. So these are the planning concepts which have been evolutionized. Evolution has taken place in the concept of planning itself and its implementation. Another important thing, my dear friends, why I have introduced this policy means a country like India, which is a very sixth largest or fifth largest country in the world, and second largest in terms of population, did not have environmental policy at the national level. Very pathetic, very unfortunate. Only in the beginning of 2000, probably 2002 or 2006, our first environmental national policy was introduced. Look at it. What were we planning then? How did we get plans implemented? How did we get developmental activities implemented? You should look back and see where we erred. And today, people have understood where they have erred, and planners have sat together and they started working towards an environmental policy which got implemented. And there are certain things which cannot be given permission for the development under this policy. So, for any managing things, policy must be there. Either it's an industry, or if it is an educational institution, or if it is a municipal organization, or if it is a district authority, state authority, national authority, every authority is bound by a policy, and that policy will have to be framed before the regulations and rules and other things are going to be implemented. Under that policy, you can bring in acts, you can bring in regulations, you can bring in rules and other things, okay, to be implemented effectively. Now look at the policies. We have national level policy, we can have regional level policy. For example, SAARC, 7 countries have put together in this region, and we have the policy, for them separately. That is regional level policy. Or within India, regional level policy, southeastern region, south region, southwestern region, northeastern region, northern region, central region, we have. Then state level policy at the state of Karnataka, company or industry level policy. All these policies will have a touch of legal framework. Jurisprudence, legal framework shall be there in all these policies. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to implement and execute. Importance of policy. To introduce, 1 second. Nisarga, I'm in a talk. You know. Sorry, my dear friends, my daughter's call. Institutional arrangement. Once the policy is there, to implement, say for example, solid waste management in the city of Bengaluru, BBMP is the nodal agency. There has to be certain infrastructure which is exclusively dedicated to that implementation. Physical infrastructure, soft facilities and hard facilities in terms of equipment and other things, human resources. Human resources, what is it? Whether educated human resource or skilled manpower or non-skilled manpower. both of them together. Then financial resources and its allocation, like budgeting. Then organizational structure, still we go for management organizational structure. Now, there is no vertical organizational structure. Now it is horizontal structure spread across, right from the last person to the managing director of a company or the IAS officer of an organization. Organizational structure, roles and responsibilities. My dear friends, I think this needs to be understood properly, roles and responsibilities. I was given a role of talking to you on this particular topic by your institute about a week back. So I've been doing, and 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days, I sat and then finished my talk slides. Then I had the role of coming well in advance, sitting and getting into the software and then trying to see whether everybody is there or not. If I understand my role of talking to you on this specific topic, and if it is executed properly, nobody can beat me. That's my responsibility. Role is to give a talk. My responsibility, how to give a talk, how to prepare the talk, how to make people understand what I'm talking. That's my responsibility. So that's the reason why the organization structure will have certain people at the helm of affairs, giving them certain role and responsibility. If you have that responsibility properly understood and implemented, your role is wonderfully executed. Understand that. Very, very important. Yeah, this is my concept of carrying capacity. It's my own created concept. Wonderful. You know, what do you see here? The brighter side you should first see, because youngsters always look at brighter side. You know, I keep talking to my daughter. When 40 years ago, I used to go to the college by walk. Papa, that is your time. Why are you telling me? She tells. But still, the brighter side is, for any economic progress and improved quality of life, my dear friends, you require certain developmental activities planned as per we have discussed according to the policy, according to the concept of planning, everything. Any developmental activity, it can be an education institution development, it can be an industry development, it can be a export zone park development, it can be railways development, anything, airport. Any developmental activity shall be planned for getting certain output from that developmental activity to lead a very good quality of life and to get the economic progress of that region made. But to implement this activity planned or planned activity, there has to be certain inputs. What type of inputs? As resources. These resources are expected to come from where? Planet Earth, this splitted rectangle box. This is planet Earth. And all our resources which are expected to become inputs for our developmental activities, which are planned activities. I'm not talking of unplanned activities. We get the resources, and those resources are called supportive capacity of that particular region in that particular area. And these resources will get into the activity, and activity comes up, and output comes up, and economic progress takes place, quality of life improves, brighter side is over. We have an entire supportive system, and that is abused or misused or whatever that has been done, and your economic progress has taken place. But having seen, look at the darker side, which we tend to forget. Normally, obviously, this is the other face of the coin. Once the resources are expected to be taken into the activity as an input, there has to be certain output as well after the utilization of that resource. That percentage of output is called as residue or the waste. Where should it go? It should again enter your Mother Earth. Mother Earth, it's assimilative capacity. One, it has supportive capacity. And because of the supportive capacity, you will have activity done, and there is certain waste produced because of your activity. That waste has to go into the environment, either into air or water or soil. If the area or the land in that area is assimilative enough to take care of your waste, that will be fine. It is balanced. This is what is called as carrying capacity. It carries certain resources as supportive resource, And at the same time, it also has its assimilative digestive power, digestive capacity to take care of the waste produced because of the utilized resources. This has to be balanced. If you can balance very well, your economic progress is meaningful, your quality of life is meaningful. This is called carrying capacity. See, maximum rate of resource consumption and waste discharge that can be sustained indefinitely in a defined planning region without progressively impairing bioproductivity and ecological integrity, or produce desired goods and services from a limited resource. You have all limited resources. That you should understand. Now look at the impact of urbanization, my dear friends. United Nations has suggested more than 70% of the population of the world would be in urban areas. Around 6.5 billion population by 2050, where your population would be touching around 10 billion. Now itself it is almost 8 billion. 10 billion, it is out of 10, 63 billion, 6.3 billion people. Actually, our 7 billion people will be urban area people. See, this is the projected line of urban area. Look at the rural area, going up, going up. Now it's again sharply coming down. Why? That's where your agriculture producers are not going to be produced. That's where your problems are associated with. And the stress on your, what do you call, urban infrastructural facilities will be very, very high because of this particular thing. Very, very important. Very, very important. Please keep this in mind. Even in India, it's about 65% of the population live in urban areas, making most of the cities choking with your Dharavi like situation. What is that Dharavi? Dharavi like situation. Very, very important. By 2030, our world requires 40% more water. Where is it? Question mark. 50% more food. Where is the fertile land? Where are the agricultural lands? The agricultural forests. 40% more energy. Where are the fuels? Where are the alternative supplies? 40% more timber and fiber. Global scenario. What do you do? Where do you bring it? Only one planet Earth. Estimated 800 million suffer from hunger today. Not even a square meal a day. Even in India, though the population of poor people have come down to 10% now, from 36 to 40%, today it is about 9 to 10%. Thank God for the government's initiatives. 1.2 billion live in water-stressed areas, including India. But copious rains are there, lot of water is available, but we don't know how to manage. Look at Israel. How do they manage? Wonderfully they manage. Give them a drop of water, they manage very well the drop of water. All around is desert. Other countries are starved with water, but Israel is bubbling with water, green, lush gardens, swanky swimming pools. Look at their planning technologies. Look at their engineering ingenuity. Look at their innovative approaches. Look at their conservation activities. Fantastic. Biodiversity biodiversity loss and ecosystem degradation. That is another important one which is taking place at an accelerated speed. Extinction of species. That's why we have started looking at environmental habitation, which I tell you at the end of my talk. Indian urban development scenario, over 4,000 cities and towns today. Unprecedented growth is expected to happen, is happening. 40 years ago, I came from Tumkur to Mysuru. It was a Swarga Mysuru. Today, it is Trishanku Swarga. Probably tomorrow, not immediate tomorrow, after 15, 20 years, it might be like Bengaluru Naraka. Second Bengaluru. It's a fact. We used to see one scooter or one car on the road, but today each house has got 2-3 cars or 2-3 motorbikes in Mysuru. You can imagine the growth of life, the quality of life. Current urban population is 360 million, which is expected to go to around 700 million by 2050, even in India. more than 60% population in urban conglomerates, creating a lot of dharavis, stress on urban water supply system, urban sanitation system, urban education system, urban employment system, urban food system. Look at it, problems everywhere. That's why we require a person with commitment to manage these things. A person of this nature, this is from a famous cartoonist from Mysuru, what is his name, Lakshman, R.K. Lakshman, in the management journal. A person like him sitting in the office and telling his peers and officer telling that I am busy with other outside activities, who is not at all interested in your office activity. So because of these people's nature, implementation and environmental management, pollution control and prevention are at stake today. What should we have? A right person at the right time, at the right place. If you are giving that facility, then the things would go fine and you would definitely live in a good environment. Look at the solid waste generation, coming to the core. Increasing per capita solid waste generation, it's 1.5, but it's more than 2 to 3 kgs per person today. In India, I'm talking of India, currently 50 million tons per day, probably around 100 million tons per day, likely to go up to 260 million by 2050. Yes, by another 150 tons. Major challenges are in handling, managing, and disposing. They are the major challenges. Look at these challenges which I have identified. If there are any other things, I can get corrected and my knowledge can be expanded. Still relying on conventional system, that is centralized solid waste management system. I throw my waste outside and it is the responsibility of the municipal corporation or the urban development agency to come and take it and manage it. Your role is over. But unfortunately, my dear friends, our Indian constitution is the only constitution in the world which has given you the duty, which says environment needs to be conserved, resources needs to be conserved, environment needs to be protected. You have certain duty to play. I'll show you what is that duty. You should become a wonderful citizen or a good citizen first. Then you can become later on a wonderful engineer, a good doctor, a wonderful teacher, a researcher, a blah blah, software engineer, anything that you want. Inadequate government funding and capacity, obviously, how much and how long and how much, it's very, very difficult. High initial and operative expenses, very, very important. We have done a lot of surveys in cities like Mysuru and other cities under our MTech programs. A lot of students have worked. Our own students are working in Mysore City Corporation, Bangalore City Corporation, BBMP and others. You can just imagine. Lack of willingness to charge by the agencies like corporation. Corporators come in the way, don't charge. Our vote banks are spoiled if you charge more tax. Willingness to pay, though there is willingness to pay from the people, but there is no willingness to charge. These two matter a lot in situations like sanitation and solid waste management. Lack of fee collection mechanism, that's another problem. Electricity bill, if I don't pay today, tomorrow it will be cut. And my wife and daughter will kill me. Get the electricity bought. If I don't pay water supply bill, even for a 1 month or 2 months or even a year, they don't touch my water bill. They don't cut my water supply. Very unfortunate. They take it for granted. Electricity, he comes and takes it the plug. In Chennai, my own friend who was the chief engineer, after we came back from London in 1999, having undergone 3 months training program in Watson, water supply and sanitation, higher level training program for 3 months, wonderful training. There 3 months, India 3 months, 6 months training program. He got a police station for his Chennai Metro Water Supply and Sanitation Board. He cut the sanitation first. Those people who have not got the regular water supply and those people who have the pending bills of water supply, for them, he cut the sanitation. Go for use of toilets. Go to the restroom. Where do you go? No. Wonderful thing he did. Fantastic. It was appreciated. even by United Nations. But there was a police station for him. So look at this. Why should we go to such an extent? Our role and responsibility needs to be understood. Very weak in law enforcement system. That's the problem. Hey, corporator ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, don't do it. MLA ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, don't do it. Where are we? Where are we? Why should we get those people involved into this day-to-day affair? That's where I have seen the difference, my dear friends. If I go abroad, or if you go abroad and see, you as a common person will not be affected by anything. Upper side, higher side, there will be. We are least bothered. What you and I want is our common life should go without any problem. If that happens, you are happy. That's what is happening. But in India, it's not happening. So these challenges are still there in our solid waste management. Lack of competent local service providers, obviously. Whom do we have? We do not have qualified, professionally certified people to manage solid waste. Even today, take it from me. Limited community participation and awareness. Throw it. I'll give my trash to my maid servant. She throws while going there, throws on the road or half of the road or on the road itself and goes home. Limited segregation at my house. I am the professor of environmental engineering, having put in 38 years of service, retired. Even today, we don't segregate in my house. Don't tell anybody anyway. Look at it. This is the way we contribute. Land space limitations for creating facilities. Today, if you go for a wastewater plant, people come, hey, we oppose. If you go for a solid waste management area, people oppose. Why do you come and dump your waste in my land? Rural people are having a lot of awareness today. That is becoming a problem. Legally, it is a problem. Socially, it is a problem. Environmentally, it is a problem. Look at it. Practicing illegal dumping obviously has to take place. Debris dumping, for example, debris which is created because of the construction activities, infrastructure development activities. You find in Mysore, the first city which has got the outer ring road, beautiful outer ring road of 40 kilometers. I go for a walk every day. You can see beautifully dumped debris all along the road, creating a lot of nuisance. Public hygiene and nuisance, obviously, and creating a lot of pollution. Youngsters must think about all these things. These are the challenges. Now the gaps which I have identified. Poor service providers, obviously you think about it. Creating a pool of skilled manpower, professionally trained people. Poor service provisions. We don't have proper place to dump. We don't have proper mechanism to take it, collect it, and then transport it. All these things. That is provisions, service provisions. Lack of solid waste education itself, it is lacking. Today now people are coming out with a lot of self-help groups, women organization, getting into these types of awareness campaign. Good, improving, situation is improving, but still not that is expected. It should reach to the expected level. Open burning, though it is banned by the Supreme Court and the apex courts, it is still open burning, which is very, very environmentally highly suffocating and hazardous. Illegal dumping, increased flooding, that also creates a lot of problems, and environmental pollution. Having seen all these things, probably the constitutional amendment has taken place. 71st, 72nd, and 73rd, or 72nd, 73rd, and 74th Amendment, if I am right. If I am wrong, please correct me. It has been amended that stating that it is the urban local body's responsibility to see that the public health, hygiene, and solid waste are being managed properly. Only after that, they have started looking at these types of problems carefully. Till that particular point of time, no asker, no teller, things were going on. That's all. Now look at the conventional solid waste management system, which I call it a centralized solid waste management system, the limitations of that. Neighborhood resistance, NIMBY syndrome, as I told you, not in my backyard. This was started in 1972 in New York. 2 ships loaded with New York City solid waste went around the globe. Ships, big ships. I have the photographs, the slide. No country allowed them to dump their waste into the ocean. After 4 years or 5 years, I think 72 to 73, 75, I believe, 74, 2 years, they came back to the same New York harbor. Not in my backyard. They started thinking, yes, in my backyard, YIMBY syndrome. Then they came to a conclusion that our waste shall be managed by our own self. They have decided to do that, and United States of Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has been formulated, and then people started looking at it. That is one. Transportation problem source to disposal site within the city or across the city, various points at the city. You can smell, you can see fragrance coming out. Transportation is still a problem even in 21st century. Long hauls, public nuisance. Obviously, from Ramakrishna Nagar Andolana Circle in Mysuru to that particular place, about 20 kilometers, it has to pass. Long haul, having that type of waste, it's very difficult. Higher fuel consumption, negative externalities, enormously expensive. We have done that survey to Mysore twice by an MTech student. We found out a lot of things. Not meeting desired quality standards. That's another limitation. Limited livelihood generation. Solid waste, who will give, what will they give? Livelihood is rag pickers. India started rag picking, age-old rag pickers. Even today you find them on your streets, even in Bengaluru, so-called cosmopolitan city, metropolitan city. Rag pickers example was taken by Japan, and they have become fantastic process of rag picking. Not people, mechanized rag picking. That is solid waste management. Go to Germany, fantastically they manage their solid waste. Japan, wonderfully managing solid waste. Sweden, beautifully managed. Limited social entrepreneurship. We don't have such people. Oh, waste. Today, waste is wealth. People started thinking waste is wealth. Yesterday, one of my closest friends had come to my house to discuss about debris management system for Mysore city, which I had thought of 8 years ago. 8 years ago, my dear friends, you don't believe. Debris management has now become a menace in most of the urban areas, including abroad countries. They wanted to have a plant here in Mysuru. I said, go ahead, I'm there as your advisor. People have to come. Entrepreneurship is now leading. Modi's government, Atmanirbhar Bharat, they are producing, they are giving thousands and thousands of crores of rupees for the new entrepreneurship programs, projects. Lack of innovation, that's another major problem. And today, the new education policy insists on innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, skill development. These are the 4 major areas where you need to concentrate, either a teacher or a student. Both of you shall concentrate on these 4 areas and see that you are going to take the challenge and successfully come out of that challenge. Rag pickers, social concern, there is still a problem, and judicial activism, people are aware and legal framework is initiated. Typical problems of solid waste: air, water, and groundwater. All of them, soil, all of them are going to be spoiled if you are dump and burn the solid waste. Look at this. Our livestock are also not spared. They found these types of plastics which are indiscriminately disposed by our educated class of people, found in the stomach of this. And milk and milk products are also having the problems of these toxic chemicals and toxic hazardous waste. Coming to the theme, decentralized solid waste management, a systematic approach is this. It's called systemic approach. Each one is a system by itself. Integrates decentralized peri-urban systems within urban planning initiatives. That has to be an integral component of any urban local body's activity. It will now become an integral component of that activity. Freedom to communities to micromanage their own waste in their own yard or ward. Bangalore city has got 200 wards, which is likely to go up to 300 today because of its increased area. Mysore has 65, which is expected to go up to 125 shortly. Each ward will have to manage their own waste. That's why Mysore's example has become the best example today for the entire India. What did they do? When the ADB has given them the loan, they have the decentralized zero waste management system established in one area called Kumbarkoppulu. I was the technical advisor and I have given the technical report, and World Bank appreciated it, and they have sent about 300 organizations to see that. See, that is the innovative approach of a city. So that has been reflected and replicated in about 18 wards. Unfortunately, 6 wards were not working. 12 wards are now working. Now the current situation is all 65 wards are allowed to implement this, so that the stress on Mysore City Corporation at central level is completely reduced. They can concentrate on other things, very important things, without any problem. It's a good suggestion, good thing. They will have a lot of flexibility, freedom, and community people's participation is highly honored. Ensures meeting the larger waste strategy, important. So how do we do it? Take the advantages of centralized system and advantages of decentralized system and bring in decentralized solid waste management system as a hybrid structure. That's all. So that in both these systems, you are eliminating disadvantages, only advantages are taken, and hybrid structure will take care of all these disadvantages as well. That's the advantage. It addresses awareness about good solid waste management system. Education is a prime component here. Educating people, giving training, IEC, whatever you call, creating awareness and understanding of different roles between the stakeholders. Whoever the stakeholder, everybody knows his responsibility, his or her role, and interchangeable interactive situation. Establishing a multi-stakeholders approach, important, because it is not a single stakeholder, it is a multi-stakeholder. Any waste management facility for that matter, that has to be established. Devised, established. Then, strengthening the specific capability of stakeholders, that is very, very important. If I am good at training, my hands must be strengthened to impose training, import training, to import training. Improving information, education, and communication. That's what I have seen in Germany, I have seen in Netherlands, I have seen in England. Lots of booklets. Whatever they do, they implement it. They are planning. They are going to be implemented. Advantages, disadvantages. Everything will be made known to each and every individual there. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be given to people so that they can understand, oh, this much of money is being spent for these facilities, and outcome of these facilities for this is this, and I have to contribute. So there won't be any opposition at all. People get convinced. That sort of situation is required here. And that's where we have undergone for 6 months such a type of training in this water supply and sanitation system. It also addresses waste collection mechanism, how the waste should be collected, how should be the provision of collection, storing, transportation, disposal, and ultimately reuse or whatever it is. Intermediate disposal, training of scavengers and rag pickers, reduce, recycle, reuse approach is always there, maintained and managed. So this one ultimately focuses on source waste management. That means at source, waste is managed means finished. In my house, if I segregate everything into 4 or 5 baskets, his job is reduced and further job is reduced. The mechanism becomes very effective. The mechanism becomes so progressive, so fast. That's it. Waste fee collection, yes, nothing should be given free in India, because free sops made Indians lazy, made Indians not thinkable, made Indians very dependable. I am opposing it, straightforward opposing it. No free sops to anybody. They have to work, give the provision of working atmosphere. He or she will come and work. For the work done, you give her money or do whatever you want. That will be the satisfaction of life. That is the quality of life they should have. So we don't have that system. That's why we need to do this. waste fee collection, you have to impose fee. Now, all urban local bodies are imposing solid waste fee, sanitation fee, etc. Those types of fees are being collected, or taxes are being collected. In DSWAM, two facilities are there, major, including composting, of course. Material recovery facility called MRF. Remember MRF tires. Material separation facility is MSF. Cleaner byproduct to handle, easier to handle, saves money and time at the facility. And another facility is compost facility within the yard. Beautiful. That's why it's called integrated system. It gets you revenue. Internal revenue generation, IRG, is 100% assured. Take it from me. You can make money from the compost. You can make money from the reuse and recyclable matter. You can make money in the recovery facility, because you can throw back and then reuse the system, recycle the system or the product. Look at it. It has very many advantages. See, MRF and compost facility within this. You can come and see in Mysore, probably in Bangalore also they must have started zero effluent system or zero waste management system. It's called in solid waste. So in a nutshell, household waste, commercial waste, separately collect, segregate, and then take it, and then handle it, manage it, dispose it, and then properly manage it. See, beautiful. This is from one of the towns in Tamil Nadu, probably Chiru, Thisura, something like that. Forgotten the name of the thing. Sorry. Every week they meet people who are involved in the affair, and training will be given to the people from the self-help groups and segregation facilities. Everything is beautifully done. So long-term benefits of DSWAM: environmentally sustainable and economically efficient. Restructuring the manpower. Rack pickers are now can be restructured, can be trained, can be modified, can be renamed. Anything can be done. Increased civic responsibility. At home responsibility increases, whether it is a child or a homely people, they all will have the responsibility of segregating the home, at the house, at the source, the solid waste. Organizational incentives will also be given. Improved health of community. Outside public health hygiene is maintained. Nobody throws outside the compound wall. Yes, in my backyard will be appreciated, will be conducted, will be practiced. Reduced health investments. That's what, the ripple effect. If the outside hygiene is not maintained, you are going to be infected. Once you are infected, your family gets infected. All of you will have to go to the health officer. All of you will have to go to the clinic, private clinic or government hospital. You have to invest money on medicine. You have to invest, and you have to put Raja, no earning for the members, because you can't go for work when your health is ill. Look at this. These are the interconnected problems. So you avoid by maintaining your personal hygiene and physical hygiene, premises hygiene. That is what is ultimately the environmental management says. If you do all these things, you will definitely get your improved quality of life. So my dear friends, coming to my last part of my talk, what SJC has done in this regard of saving the natural resources. The first contribution of my department under my guidance is this eco toilet. One of my students, who is now the executive engineer in Jilla Panchayat Mysuru, Mr. What is his name? I forgot his name. Manoj Kumar. Mr. Manoj Kumar. He came and discussed one day in 2004. Sir, he was doing MTech on deputation. Sir, I want to do something to my societies. Look at his initiative. What do you want to do? Something in sanitation sectors. About a month ago, I had seen somewhere in Brazil ecological toilet. Somewhere I read, I don't know where, I don't remember. Ecological toilet. It was also in my mind. He came, and then I said, Lodappa, can you do this? Sir, wonderful, sir. I'll take it up, sir. He took it as a challenge. He did a lot of work in about 6 to 8 months. You don't believe, and this is his creation. Ex-litter disposal system, which is eco-friendly, and this is what he did. 2-pit latrines. It is 2-pit. above the ground level, like this, 1 and 2 pit. Each pit for 5 members of a family will come for about 6 to 8 months average, and then close this pit, use the other pit, and leave it for about 2 to 3 months. You will get manure called human urine, and urine is separated. Urine is highly nitrate is more in urine, and that can be used on agricultural land. Fantastic. And then we have modified this railway system to this with the help of an NGO in Bengaluru. So they have started creating this, and it is costing about 750. Then probably now it is 500 or 400. I do not know. So this has got a closure value. It doesn't use water. Fecal matter gets collected here, and your urine gets collected here separately, and there is no water connection. People are expected to go sidewise and then use water to wash their anus. Otherwise, it is fantastic. It is having lot of advantages, fantastic advantages, and we must thank this Niranjan, IAS officer, then the ZP, I think KS officer, ZP CEO. He was volunteered and he was impressed by our design, and he has given us 3 lakh rupees. Professor Halapagowda is also here. He is Professor Basavarajaya, former principal of Surathkal NIT, presently NIT. Earlier it is REC Surathkal, and this is location. We have built this in one of the NGOs. About 400 organizations have come and visited that, and they have written a book. In that book, they have maintained everything. 400 organizations. Today, we have built around 2,000 plus such eco toilets with the help of NGOs in Chamarajanagar, Mysore district, Mandya, Chikmagalur, and Coimbatore, 5 districts. Water saving, no water for what is called flushing, no water for ablution. Ablution only 1 liter, you can go out and then wash. And you get human urine and the urine as extra fertilizers, natural organic fertilizers. This is the advantage. Another contribution of my student, a PhD student who was the executive engineer from BWSSB, Dr. Ravi Shankar, who did his PhD with me. So this is his contribution, our contribution, where we have used both anaerobic system and aerobic system of waste treating. Domestic wastewater treatment facility. This is a flow anaerobic sludge blanket, and this is trickling filter, tower trickling filter we call. Very beautiful, half an HP or 1 HP motor, where the wastewater will be pumped from the ground level to this place, and from there by gravity it flows through this, and again by gravity it flows up. It comes down and comes down here and comes out. You know, we have measured a BOD5 of only 3 to 7 milligram per liter for a period of 2 years continuously from here. And today it caught up, and he has taken, unfortunately for both, we did not have any patent. And we thought it is for the societal use. We have done it, and it's being used. So this is the, field practical tower that he has done, 10 meter side. Actually, he has done it, and then later on, they have given it to a lot of people. Glimpses of HBR, hybrid reactor system, Jayadeva Cardiology, Bengaluru, in Mysuru, Excelsoft School, and there are other industries who have taken it, and in Bengaluru, Kinley Water. Kerala, there are 2 municipal corporations which have adopted this. This is the entire treatment plant area. This is the pumping unit. That's all that is required. Entire Jayadeva Cardiology Hospital waste comes here. This is the treatment plant. This is tower trickling filter, and this is our UASB. This is the lab. And this is Kaveri water. This is our treated water. And this is Dr. Ravi Shankar, who has done this work at BWSSB, and he is the engineer who is looking after this treatment plant. It's about 100 by 80 site. That's all. You can see the building corner. If you go to that place, 9th block, Jayanagar, or from Dairy Circle if you come. Look at these beautiful contributions, and energy saving is only this much. 3 lakh liters of wastewater is treated, and within 4 years, Whatever the investment they have done, 2 crores they have invested, within 4 years, they got back the money. They have obtained, thanks to Dr. C.N. Manjunath, who did a wonderful work. He was highly appreciative of this work and he has given service. You go to Kabban Park, he has done that work for Kabban Park. Lal Bagh, you go to KGA, Karnataka Golf Association, near old airport, he has done that. I have gone there twice, three, 4 times. Beautiful. All these things are research approaches which are very, very important from the point of view of contributing to the society. Lastly, principle of environmental sustainability. Friends, everybody talks of sustainability, environmental sustainability. Look at what happens. Consumption of renewable resources which the Mother Earth gives, if they are more than nature's ability to replenish, which is now we are under this state, environmental degradation starts, it is not sustainable. Now, by 2030, we are expected to equal our utilization to nature's ability to replenish. We wanted to reach steady state economy, steady state condition. It's called equilibrium condition. Neither gets in nor gets out. Whatever gets in, it comes out like that. So we are now approaching this condition. If we don't approach, we are going to rule ourselves outside the planet Earth. If we start using less than nature's ability to replenish, bring back idlis. I want only 2 idlis or at least 4 idlis. If I have 10 idlis or 5 idlis or 6 idlis, waste. Do not do that. It is called environmental renewal, which is sustainable enough. So we want to reach this condition, if not today, tomorrow, to have that planet Earth preserved for future generation. For that, what do? Hitherto we were doing pollution cleanup, but prevention of pollution is the aim today. Don't pollute at all. Don't spit. Where is the public hygiene? Unhygiene condition will not be created. Don't go for public urination. Don't go for public fecal matter production. Public hygiene is maintained very well there. That's why I stressed you to become a good citizen first. Who is a good citizen? One who obeys the law of the land. Jillilla. If police asks, where is helmet? Oh, Nimappundo. Oh, I am son of so and so. What is this, man? Is this citizenship? That's why we need to produce first, as teachers, good citizens first. Then you can teach them whatever that they want. Waste disposal. We were doing waste disposal. Today, waste prevention and minimization. Zero effluent system in 1988. UNDP has started. UNDP has suggested for industries. Zero effluent system means no effluent should go out of your campus. Recycle, reuse, recover. Lots of examples are there. Now we were protecting species Huli, only Huli, protect Huli. But today we have gone for habitat protection. For Huli to survive, it requires everything. Grass, it requires deer. Deer depends on grass. Grass is there to grow grass, fertile soil. Look at the chain of components which are interlinked. Habitation protection is the art of the day today. That's why you find tiger habitation, tiger sanctuary, wildlife sanctuaries. Earlier, tiger in a bone, tiger is protected there in a tree. No, it has all gone. They should also have their freedom. Environmental degradation, we are now trying to restore the degraded environment. Polluted soil, we can regain its fertility back again. We are doing it. Polluted water, retreat it and then use it. Singapore. If you go to Singapore, you drink your own wastewater. Be ready. Whatever the water bottles that you get is treated wastewater. If you go to UK, 11 times treated circulated water of Thames. If you go to North cities, Ganga. Now it is getting treated. Earlier it was not at all treated. Pure Ganga water, sir. What is that Ganga water having? Fecal matter of various cities. Look at it. Environmental restoration. Increased resource use, more efficient resource use, less wasteful. 3 idlis, stop it at 3 idlis. Why do you have 5 idlis in your plate? Stop it. Judicious jurisprudence, judicious use of resources. Government of India is thinking to rationize energy, water and food. Ration gota, 5 kgs of food per month for you, finish. You have to do with this. No extra, nothing you can't get anywhere. Energy, 100 kilowatt hour, you use whatever you want, finish. Don't come for extra. That may come, that situation may come because one of the planning commission members in Bombay, IIT Mumbai, she was telling when I was a participant there. Population growth 1.82, 2.44, 4.5. Population stabilization. Thank God today it is 1.6 or 1.8 in India. We have controlled, but still we need to go for zero for another next 10 years because we have already sufficiently generated a lot of people. This is how the sustainable emphasis has to be driven. And if you drive this, you become a part of it. Individuals matter. What for? Natural capital is our parental earth, Mother Earth, and Mother Earth has lot of natural resources. They are expected to degrade because they are used as resources for developmental activities. There are certain solutions which can be used for reducing the degradation. There are certain trade-offs where these solutions can further reduce the degradation, and these trade-offs and solutions which are scientific, technical, economically viable, technically feasible, they will have to be done by you and me. That's why you and me matter a lot. If you and me do not care, probably you may have to end up with a lot of problems. Green building is one of the components which they suggest for this reduction in solid waste. What do they do? One slide, reduce trash by 70%. Unfortunately, it is seen and experienced in IIT Kanpur. Our building, which was built under the MP's lad, MP lad funding, Puri, who was Puri, Narottam Puri or somebody, no, forgot, Arun Shauri. Arun Shauri had given 11 crores. Government, IIT Kanpur Alumni Association also has given about 8 or 6 crores. About 20 crores they have invested to that building, which is the first eco green building, platinum rated educational center in the entire Asian Institute. Fantastic. They reduce trash by 70%. Trash is solid waste. Reduce pollution and degradation of environment. Efficient use of energy. Energy reduction is by 40 to 50%. Water usage is reduced by 40%. Protect the health of occupants. You will be very healthy. Improve productivity. When you are healthy, your productivity rate goes up and country progresses, economic profile increases. Look at all these activities. That's what is required. If you don't, you and I contribute for the reduction of pollution. It is ultimately can be seen like this. Look at your organizer introducing Lokesh, introducing this gentleman to another person. He is Dr. Norman and he is the innovator of seedless peanuts. You know, cartoons speak a lot. Next time when I am called for your university or the institution, they will be introducing Lokesh as seedless, waterless water bottles. I may bring waterless water bottle to you and you will be astonished. So let's not get into this situation, my dear friends. If you and I become very good citizens first, 60 to 70% of our environment problems can be solved. It is in our hands to protect our environment and save for future. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Organizers, I'm done.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, I cannot express my joy at listening to your lecture. It was so good.
So nice of you.
Sir, no, sir. It
So
was
nice
actually so good. I think
if it is informative, I am very happy.
you know it was more than informative. I think there are a few places where we could look at research gaps and
Please.
probably take it as research for the society, sir.
Wonderful.
Sir,
I really appreciate your this thing. Good.
thank you so
Optimism.
much, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
Sir, could we take a few questions if participants have
Why
some?
not? Why
Yes,
not?
sir.
Why not?
Dear
Shall I
participants,
go back?
sir, let this slide be. No, not an issue. Eagerly slide. So
Okay.
I'll ask them.
Okay.
Participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box so that I can read it out to sir. Or conversely, you can raise your hand so that I can unmute you and you can ask it to
Yeah,
sir
they can
directly.
directly talk.
Dear participants, if you have questions, please post it in the chat box.
We have another 15 minutes.
Yes, sir, we have time.
Oh, right. 11:10.
Okay.
I completed early.
No,
You
no,
know,
no.
this thank you slide is prepared by me. This picture.
Oh, nice.
It's my concept. In 1990, I have done it.
Very nice, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
I think everybody has understood whatever I have told, or not understood. Only these two things happen.
No, sir. I don't think. I don't
There are
think
no questions.
there is a question of not understanding. I think that the talk was really good, sir. Even though I am not from environmental background, not saying
Wow.
environmental
Great.
background, but this is something related to the society, and you have beautifully driven
Yeah,
the point.
society. Yeah, yeah.
You have
This is for
excellently
everybody.
done, sir. Yes, sir. I think your
Thank
student
you.
Deepthi ma'am has a question. Ma'am, Deepthi ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, Deepthi, go ahead.
Sir, actually, I do segregation at my home. In the dry
Uh-huh.
waste, I segregate glass bottles, papers, plastic separately. But at the end, when I give it to the collector, he puts all in the same way. Vehicle.
Yes.
He put it.
Yes.
What do you say about this?
That's the problem. That's the problem. Exactly. It is the real-time problem which we are facing everywhere, including my house. In the beginning, we did
Yes, sir.
it.
Though we are
ಅವನೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡೆ ಒಂದು
interested,
ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Though we want to
True,
segregate,
true.
though we are trying hard to keep our environment clean, it's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to make it happen, you come and see Mysore Kumbarkoplu plant. Even today, self-help groups are there where women are the members there. Women go to each and every. Initially, they did it. Today, no one goes. Everyone understands his or her responsibility. They completely separate, segregate at home and outside ತಂದಿಟ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. Beautiful. It requires
Yes.
about 1.5 years of extra training for them. Repeated ಆಗಿ. Then they understand, and then that inculcates into their routine life, and they do it. It is a matter of time. That has to happen in every ward. In every ward. That's why. You know,
Yes, sir.
if you don't do it, the person who come for correction, he will not take it. He will throw it there only.
Yes,
He will
sir.
keep it there only. He will not take it even after 2 days. That's a good
Yes,
practice.
sir.
Do that.
Sir, but it
Then
is
automatically
happening with dry
everybody
and
will
wet
not try.
waste. It's happening with dry and wet
Yeah.
waste. But when we are looking into
Yes,
segregating dry waste,
always it happens like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sir, that's what.
Even dry and wet,
Yeah.
wet waste are also separately done. That should also be done. That's why 4 areas. To do that, you have some patience. If not 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing to lose. When one IAS officer, Anil Kumar, was the commissioner, watermen, wallmen, street streeters, they were trained for the first time. They were all so happy on our own campus in my department. ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸಾರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲೇ ಈ ತರ ನಾವು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ನೋಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್. Commitment from their side was fantastic. Response was very good. But that gentleman left, things have come back. That should not happen. That's why a system should be generated in such a way, whether a man is there or not, system should run. System should run. ಅದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Now we can see in most of the 6 wards, system is automatically being run. They don't require monitoring. They don't go for anything. Automatically they come, segregated waste will be there, and they do it. They earn money. They're earning money.
Yes, sir.
Self-sufficiently, they are earning money in Kumbarkoplu, and which is the other area. I forgot, Siddhartha layout area and other areas. They are managing their own waste. They are giving people, salary. Fantastic. MCC is nothing to do with them. Yeah, role
Thank
of
you, sir.
institutions, you are training. You have a lot of opportunities to train people. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Definitely we will
Any other
ensure,
questions?
sir.
Yeah, please do that. Please do that as a part of your academics.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have one more question from Vikram Singh Jadhav, Professor Vikram Singh
please.
Jadhav. Sir, he wants to know that he says that now villages are also suffering from plastic wastes. How do we overcome this issue? Are there any remedies for that?
Yeah. Jadhav is from which place?
Not very sure, sir.
Mr. Jadhav?
Probably. One second, sir.
No,
I'll
one Mr.
just
Jadhav is
one,
here
one
as a.
minute.
Yeah, unmute him.
I'll unmute
Unmute
him.
him. Yeah.
1 minute, sir. Professor Vikram, you can unmute yourself now. Professor Vikram Singh, you can unmute yourself, sir. You can unmute yourself and you can direct the question to sir.
Good morning, Mr. Vikram.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm from
Vikram, speak up.
Vikram sir, your voice is little mellow. Could you speak up?
Speak loudly. Speak
Hello.
loudly, man. Yeah, audible.
I'm from Karad, Maharashtra.
Oh, Karad, Maharashtra. Okay.
So,
See,
actually, I'm saying that
problem in villages of late is because of the migration of village population from the city. Those people who left village for the cities, once they go back with all sophisticated packed materials. Understand?
Yes,
And if any villager comes to a city, he goes with the tens and hundreds of packages like that, which I have seen in Mysore also. So ultimately, it will all find a place on the village solid waste. That's the major problem.
we are moving also for packaged foods also, packaged materials.
How to avoid it is a big question, but they should segregate it separately, and they should do something with that. That should not get into the village waste, because village waste is still being used. Organic waste is still being used as a manure. That should not get into that. They need proper education in this regard.
Yes, sir. And cities having so many disposal systems, but villages.
Yeah. I know. It will be a disposal headache there also, I'm sure. Yeah, take up a case study and do how much of waste comes to a village, average village, how it comes and where it ends up, and what can be done. Why don't you take up a project, undergraduate project? It will be a nice project. Get it done.
Yes,
Get it done. They will get the complete picture. He's not audible anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vikram sir. Sir, we have one more question from your student, Professor
Please.
Shreyas sir wants to ask you another question.
Yeah, please go ahead, Shreyas.
Sir, speaking about zero solid waste management in Kumbar Koplu of Mysore area. Can you just give ಇದು ಕುಮಾರ್ ಕೊಪ್ಲು zero solid waste management ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್?
Correct.
Can you just give the brief steps, sir? Like what are the treatment methods like that, or the brief procedures, sir?
There is no treatment method at all. Segregation, that's all. Recyclable separate, reusable separate, and compostable separate. Composting is there, vermicomposting is there in the premises. They get vermicompost. Everything is completely separate. Recycled people, authorized people will come. They pay money, they take it there. Our compost people, they pay money, they take compost there. Everything is complete. No treatment at all. Only medicines and other things. Corporation people separately, they send a vehicle and that will go to medical waste treatment plant, which is established by my own student. That's all. There is no on-site treatment given to any solid waste which is separated separately. Nothing. If you want to come and see, please go and see.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Right.
Sir, thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. We are all delighted to have this session today. I think we could say that this was one of the best sessions so far.
Thank you. So
in
nice.
FPP.
Thank you
so much, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, pleasure is mine because I am now retired. I enjoy such talks every time.
Even though you've retired, but I think the knowledge sharing is still at the level that you have
I
left it at.
keep updating my knowledge, man. Yeah, that's
Thank
my
you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
practice. Thank you very
Sir,
much, organizers. Thank you very much for
I-
your patient listening.
yes, sir.
Bye bye.
I
Take care.
request, sir, 1 second. I request Deepti
Yeah.
ma'am to conclude on the session so that we
Oh.
could take a break. Ma'am, Deepti ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Lokesh sir, thank you very much for keeping us enthusiastic throughout your talk, sir. And thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, experience, and
You're most
exposure
welcome.
with us.
You're most welcome.
Along with
Amma.
field, yes, sir. Along with field practical examples, you have connected to today's scenarios and also today's World's Ozone Day. And on this day, you have given a good knock on DSWAM along with carbon footprint and various global environmental scenarios. And also, you have made us realize what we are up to and what we could be instead. And really, sir, we shall understand the importance of sustainable living and strive hard to be a responsible civic as you are expecting younger generations to be.
Thank you very much. So
Thank
nice
you
of
very
you.
much, sir.
I had a wonderful time
Thank you very
interacting
much,
with
sir.
you people. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Screen share it. Dear Mr. Host.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Done, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
sir.
very much. So nice of you. So nice of you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Subbalakshmi ma'am. Subbalakshmi ma'am. Ma'am, Subbalakshmi ma'am. Allah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Session mugittu. Next, when will
Yes,
it
sir.
start?
We'll start the next session by 11:45, sir.
Okay.